Okay, welcome. Isn't this fun? Are you getting your money's worth? Um, Good afternoon, and I'd like to call order to the meeting on Senate Jobs and Economy. Welcome everyone for joining us here in the committee room in Carson City, and those joining us via audio conference in Las Vegas, and those listening online. I am Senator Marilyn Dondero Loop, and I will be chairing this committee during this special session. Will the committee secretary please call the roll?
Senator Cannizzaro, Senator Daly,
Here.
Senator Neal, Senator Nguyen, Senator Rogich, Senator Steinbeck, Senator Titus,
Here.
Chair Dondero Loop.
And I am here, and please mark Senator Cannizzaro present when she arrives. Thank you very much again, and before we go on, I have a few housekeeping pieces to go over. Standard, please turn off your phones and devices if you are here in the room. Please remember to sign in if you are going to speak. Hand your card to the secretary if you have one. Lastly, there will be public comment at the end of this meeting today. There is one other item that I would like to bring to your attention, the members of the public, and it relates to posting the exhibits on Nellis that may be subject to copyright protection. Members of the public can now create a free Nevada Legislature online account by clicking on the link on the homepage of the legislature's website. Once your account is created and you are logged in, you will be able to view all of those exhibits posted online. And if you are not logged in, you can click on an exhibit that may be subject to copyright protection, so you will see the standard notice on the exhibit is unavailable online. However, if you're logged in, you get to see all those exhibits, so please log in. All right, today we will be hearing one or more bills, but for right now, we have one bill on the agenda, which is Senate Bill 4. Senate Bill 4 revises provisions relating to state financial administration. And I am going to open the hearing on Senate Bill 4 and invite Tiffany Greenemeyer, the Director of the Governor's Finance Office, forward. And when Director Greenemeyer is done, then we will go section by section of the bill. So please go ahead when you are ready, and thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm Tiffany Greenemeyer, Director for the Governor's Finance Office. I'm here to present Senate Bill 4. Starting with Section 1, requests $31,490,000 in general fund appropriations to replenish the interim finance contingency account due to the allocations for the purchase of the forestry's fire trucks approved at the October 16th IFC, and an allocation to the food insecurity program approved at the October 30th IFC. Moving on to Section 2, I do have a conceptual amendment for Section 2, and that is to remove Section 2 of the $7.3 million replenishment request to the disaster relief account, and this is due to the federal government reopening and funding the WIT program for the entire year. Moving on to Section 3, requests general fund appropriations of $594,000 in fiscal year 2026 and $1,188,000 in fiscal year 2027 to fund portable medical care stations at multiple correctional facilities. Section 4 requests $25,000 in each year of the biennium in general fund appropriations to fund the travel for the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education. Section 5 requests $1,950,000 over the 2026-27 biennium in general fund appropriations to the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education. Moving on to Section 6, requests $14,585,755 in general fund appropriations to fund the jail-based competency program Division of Public and Behavioral Health will allocate to Clark County in the amount of $7,069,836, and Washoe County in the amount of $7,515,919 for the purpose of the jail-based competency. Moving on to Section 7, requests $7,630,000 in general fund appropriations to the University of Nevada, Reno to fund the furniture and equipment at the new Nevada State Public Health Laboratory located on the UNR campus. Section 8 requests $3 million in general fund appropriations over the 2026-27 biennium to fund stipends for the state public defenders and other costs of the department related to the compliance with the Davis consent judgment. Section 9 requests general fund appropriations in the amount of $1,256,686 in fiscal year 2026 and $19,422,534 in fiscal year 2027 to fund the increased SNAP administration cost sharing implemented by the Budget Reconciliation Act and the Analytical Technology software to review SNAP caseload each month to help with the error rate. Section 10 requests $1,250,000 in general fund appropriations each year of the biennium to fund broker compensation for the purpose of compensating brokers to enroll individuals in plans authorized under NRS 695K. And then moving on to Section 11, requests $2 million in general fund appropriation over the 2026-27 biennium to fund community navigators for the purpose of providing education and enrollment assistance with Battle-Born States Plan and Nevada Medicaid. Moving on to Section 12, requests $330,550 in general fund appropriation to fund the personnel costs and auxiliary costs in fiscal year 2027, which was omitted in the 26-27 biennium budget due to separate legislation in the 2025 session that was not approved, created the positions to be unfunded in the second year of the biennium. Section 13 requests for $68.5 million in general obligation bonds for the construction of the life sciences building at the University of Nevada, Reno. Moving on to Section 14, requests a revised maximum annual salary of $180,534 for the director, State Chief Information Officer of the Governor's Technology Office within the Office of the Governor. This will allow the director's salary to be higher than the deputy's salary in the same division. And with that, I'll stand for any questions. And we have lots of helpers.
Thank you very much. So I think my plan is to do it this way. And if you stay there, just in case somebody has a question, and then we'll go through section by section. And if there's anybody in the audience that has some additional information and they would like to give that information, then we can ask them to come to the table. And members, if you have any questions, that'll allow you to ask either Director Greenemeyer or the other person who's involved at the table. So I'll start with section 1, and that's contingency account. Is there, I think that would be you anyway, right? Yeah. So, committee, are there any questions on section 1? Okay, easy start. Good. Section 2, we removed by amendment. Section 3 is Department of Corrections. I see Director Zarenda. So if there's anyone who has questions on the hybrid healthcare kiosks, we have Director Zarenda and Director, if you'd like to come forward. And if anybody has questions, and we'll start with Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I guess I'm super curious about how the kiosk, will mitigate the healthcare issue that I believe you brought up in the IFC committee. So I was looking on the website, and so for medical services, it's saying that medical staff engages about 600 patient care contacts. And when I was looking up the kiosk, it just does basic stuff, right? Blood pressure, BMI, vision screening, it's very surface. But when you presented in the IFC committee, you talked about like extensive chronic disease. So how is the kiosk going to mitigate that? Or are we just creating another cost and they're still going to have to go to the hospital anyway?
So James Renda for the record, Corrections Director for Corrections. Anyway, thank you for that question. What the units are doing, it's going to be increased in telemedicine, so it's going to have a room that's going to be set up at certain locations so that when you have these medical issues that happen, that we don't have medical doctors available, it's going to be able to set up that where you can do regular telemedicine stuff. You can do blood pressures. You can check. They do scopes of the throats for anyone that has potentials for strep throat. It does temperature. It does the pulse. It does everything that you would do if you went to a primary care doctor. So it doesn't do the specialist pieces unless we add it. So what it's going to do is when right now at these locations that we don't have medical care to be able to be provided, we usually transfer those offenders somewhere else, or if it becomes to a point where you would have to go to a medical inpatient, not inpatient, but an emergency clinic, it would prevent us from going to these clinics where you would just go to a 24-hour emergency clinic if you really need to, not a hospital. We would do that for regular care, which it wouldn't be chronic. We wouldn't need to do stuff like that because we would have actual telemedicine that we could do it at those locations where we don't have it.
Madam Chair, follow-up? Please. So how much is each kiosk? Do you plan on customizing? And the customization cost how much more?
So James Renda for the record, and I have some representatives from the OnMed services here that can answer that piece. But anyway, what it's going to do is each unit will cost about $1 million for, it's a hair over $1 million for each unit. That comes with the unit and the medical staff for that unit. So it'll be done just like like it was during COVID. You would have be like a video visit. You would have the actual doctors or pieces of the specialty that would have to be in there would actually be on television screen from another location. So you can actually have a real live visit, just it's not in person. So I'm not sure if that helps, but the specifics on what can actually be done in it could be answered by OnMed.
Thank you. Madam Chair, just one more final question. And I don't know if the entities should come up, but if you're saying it's $1 million each, this appropriation for 26-27 is roughly $1,188,000. So that's what, one? And then for the 25-26, that would be half of the cost. So it's only going to go in one prison?
Director
So-
Green, go ahead.
James Renda for the record. So the units itself is a separate cost than having a part of it with all the medical pieces to it. So the units themselves, I believe, are like $500,000. But when you add in the medical pieces, that comes added to the costs. The units that they're actually going to be put into is going to be where most of our medical trips that go to the outside doctor visits, not the hospitals, would be High Desert Correctional Center in Indian Springs. It would be the Northern Nevada Correctional Center in Carson City, and also the Lovelock Correctional Center up in Lovelock. And those are where we have the most amount of costs right now that actually go to regular doctor office visits in the community that are not considered emergency care.
Okay. So, so there was a prior appropriation on this, and we're just kind of filling in the gap here?
Director Greenemeyer, would you like to address that?
Tiffany Greenmeyer for the record. Each unit is 594,000. So there'll be the first unit in fiscal year 26 bought, and then 2 units bought in fiscal year 27.
Thank you. Any, Senator Titus?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here, and thank you for bringing this forward. Just to be clear, I do have a little, I have to disagree with you that these things will do everything a primary care doctor could do, because I would argue as a primary care doctor that they cannot. Yeah, I happen to know one. But having said that, actually, and just maybe to alleviate some of Senator Neal's concerns, I absolutely support this. This is already in process at the VA hospital. I was just at a medical meeting in Las Vegas. This is actually, it's very innovative, and it has started, and it is part of a solution, not the complete solution, not the full answer for providers. But my understanding is that they're already doing this at the VAs in Las Vegas, and it is really just some of the things that can be done telemedicine that we're already doing, but the prisoners don't have access to this. So, and it's in privacy. It's already a known concept that to keep people out of the ERs, keep that transportation cost, where they can actually access a provider without that. The big cost for you, is my understanding, is the transportation of taking the inmates to see the providers. Is that correct, sir?
So thank you for that, James Renner, for the record. So it's not even just the cost of the overtime. When you look at these locations that we're putting them into, High Desert State Prison, where we have the higher security offenders, we're bringing those higher security offenders to local hospitals or emergency clinics that can actually, the work can actually be done at the location instead of transporting out.
Right, and so the concept is already here, it's already in use, it's really a telemedicine asset with some screening that can be done to maybe avert, but if they need to go see the provider, you will still do that, correct?
James Renner, for the record, that is correct.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I believe Senator Neal has a follow-up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just really quick, and thank you, Senator Titus, for that example. So are we expecting to get some metrics associated with this in terms of how have the kiosks being brought into the prisons reduced the transports? You put on the record the last time at the IFC that these increased medical transports were, somehow related to, chemicals being on the mail. And so there were rising costs that brought this conversation forward. So what kind of reporting are you guys going to do to help us understand how we have reduced costs, reduced correction officer overtime now that the kiosk will be in place?
So James Renner, for the record, first of all, won't do anything for overdoses. Those will still have to go to the emergency rooms because it's life-threatening and it could turn into a disaster pretty quickly. Anyway, what it will be able to, metrics be able to look at this is you can't predict certain non-chronic medical conditions right now. So what it'll do is it'll list those amount of visits that were actually done in these modular units, and be able to determine later, out of all those that were seen in the units, which one of them would had to have been transported somewhere else for that type of a visit. When you look at that, those numbers, you'll be able to say what could have been overtime or could have been transportation to communities that we reverted because we were able to do the visits at the facility. So it's not like you can say now how much is it gonna? Well, we can't really predict the actual illness that comes up. Could be a quick illness that would have to go to the clinics, but we can, once we do them, be able to determine out of all those visits we did in those mechanisms that were reverted because we didn't have to go to the emergency clinic or to a hospital or doctor appointment close by.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to Senator Wynn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my question is it's kind of along the lines of that. What type of metrics are you going to keep to show that this is successfully reducing costs, reducing those transportation costs, what are you going to be able to present to us, so when we are sitting here in 2027 and you're asking for this again, or you're asking for an expansion of this, what kind of metrics are you going to be able to present to us so we know we can hold you accountable and we can make sure that we're making a good investment in the future?
Sure, James Render for the record. Well, the way I look at it is you have to identify how many have actually gone through each day. We can list out the numbers and the actual offenders that went through this type of a medical visit. You list all that out. Another column you write out is out of all those that were in the visits, which one of them would had to have gone to a local clinic or a doctor appointment. You list all them out. Then you identify in a third column, out of that, what kind of savings came out of that. If we transported all those that were in the column that says they would have had to have gone out if we didn't have this, we can start seeing the cost factor that's saved on overtime. The only thing we won't be able to show is what type of lawsuits were prevented because we did this and did immediate follow-up that we could not have done in the past. So I think it's just comparing the amount of cost of those that didn't go out and that would have went out if we didn't have it. And that's where you can show the money.
May I follow up, Chair? Please. You said you can. Are you going to do that? I want to make sure it's very clear that you are going to collect that information. So when we do ask for that information, we have that information.
So James Amanda, for the record, we have to do that. It's not that we can. I should have said we have to. We will be doing that, and we can provide reports whenever requested on that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional, Senator Daley? Senator Rogich? Okay. All right. Any additional questions? All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for that information. And we're going to move on to section 4. And I am going to jump down and give a little bit of background on this for those of you that have not heard this bill. And I'll turn the committee over to Senator Wynn.
Madam Chair, go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Thank you very much. All right. And I believe that we might possibly have somebody from the Department of Ed somewhere, someplace. And if so, they are welcome to join me at the table. Ms. Ford, I see you moving. All right, good morning, committee, or good afternoon, committee. I am Marilyn Dondero Loop, representing Senate District 8, and I'm here to address the appropriation for the Nevada Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education. And the commission was created during the 23 legislative session and has been working since to address their charge, which is to develop a statewide vision and implementation plan to improve the public education system in our state. The Commission's work to date has focused on building and implementing a comprehensive roadmap to ensure that learners throughout Nevada have access to personalized, quality, and competency-based learning. A lot of work and progress has been made, and the Commission needs the following appropriations identified in order to continue that progress. The Commission is addressing the following 3 major tenets: metrics, world-class teaching and learning, and next-generation career pathways, and the requested appropriations of $25,000 each year for the biennium for travel and meeting expenses cover those that are in the north or in the east side of Nevada, in Ely and Elko, who need to travel to Las Vegas for our meetings. And then the $1.95 million to enter into a contract with the qualified entity to provide the professional development for teachers, and regarding the implementation of learning programs and the redesign of schools and school cultures to create higher performing programs and to assist the Commission in developing recommendations. So we know that improving our education system is crucial for our students in the state. And so the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education is committed to work with the education community, business, legislators, and others in this strategic effort. So I will turn it over to Ms. Ford down in Las Vegas, and then I have next to me the newly hired and appointed Dr. Wakefield, our new state superintendent. I didn't know that was him sitting next to me for a minute. We are so happy you are back in Nevada. Welcome, and welcome to your first special session. Holy smokes. Baptism by fire. All right, we'll let Ms. Ford go, and then we'll go to Dr. Wakefield.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Lisa Ford, and I am currently serving as the interim deputy superintendent for the Student Achievement Division at the Nevada Department of Education. And I have the great pleasure to serve as the liaison for the Nevada Department of Education to the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education. And I stand ready to answer any questions the committee might have on the appropriations and how they might be used.
Thank you, and I will turn it over to Dr. Wakefield.
Hello, my name is Dr. Victor Wakefield. I am in week 3 as the new State Superintendent of Public Instruction. I'm here to lend my enthusiastic symbolic support and then pass any questions to our very capable Lisa Ford here. But I do want to stress that as I was exploring returning to the state in this position that I have been appointed to, this commission was one of the multiple efforts of innovation and progress that really drew me back. So I do want to say that it was exciting to watch this from afar, and I really am hopeful that we can continue to fund it at the appropriate level to keep the work moving. So I will be passing any of your technical questions to my colleague, but happy to be here on week 3, day 2 or something like that.
Thank you. Are you ready for questions then? I think we have a question from Senator Titus. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam, whatever you are, acting chair, apparently at this point in time. I appreciate it. And it's really just a comment. I've served on this commission, and just to let everybody know that there are members on this commission throughout the state that really do need to be reimbursed in the operations of this, and consultants, and just this whole process. And I think it is one of the things that truly is attempting to make a change in the education system. And unfortunately, this didn't get funded during the session for numerous issues at the end, but at this time, I think, thank you for bringing it back.
Do we have any other questions? I don't see anyone else up here. Perfect presentation, no questions. Just positive comments. So we will just take a brief second recess to have our chair come back up here.
Thank you. We'll do musical chairs. Thank you. Okay, we're back on section 6, and as you notice, we have people that are kind of in and out because they are presenting in other committees, so bear with us as we go through this. All right, section 6 is Division of Public and Behavioral Health of the Department of Health and Human Services, and I don't know if there's a, Ms. Robb, I was counting on you to jump up there. All right, if you'll just give us a little brief overview, thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Andrea Rivers, R-I-V-E-R-S, and I serve as the administrator for the Division of Public and Behavioral Health within the Department of Human Services. Before you today with Section 6 is our jail-based behavioral health program, which I know has been before this, a number of people before this committee today. So we would like to stand for any questions you may have regarding the appropriation to Washoe and Clark counties.
All right, any questions? Senator Nguyen.
I should probably know this because it was in a bill that I carried and sponsored that didn't make its way across the finish line as well, for various reasons. But do you remember what the original appropriation amounts were in that bill introduced in the 2025 legislative session?
Thank you for the Thank you for the question. For the record, Andrea Rivers, through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Nguyen. The appropriation in SB 281 was $11,897. $11,897,709. And it was not broken out by county at that point.
And I'm looking at it now. Obviously, it is a considerably larger number. And I'm noticing that when I'm looking at it, I was wondering if you can account for kind of the discrepancy that I would see in here. It shows a sum of $7,069,836 to Clark County and a sum of $515,000 essentially to Washoe County. And I know that probably those numbers are significantly different in the population. So I'm curious on how those allocations have come to be.
Thank you for the question. For the record, Andrea Rivers, through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Nguyen. Also with me today is Drew Cross, who can elaborate a little more on the program side. But the increase in a dollar amount before you today, equaling the $14,585,000 before you, accounts for the passage of AB 467 that allows for restoration of competency. That was not before you with SB 281. So with that approval in regular session, the cost of the program will increase to account for that. And so we have worked with our county partners to understand their cost to implement this program, including the addition of the restoration competency. We know our fixed costs, but have worked with Clark County as much as possible to understand. And unfortunately, Washoe County has been able to provide us a full context of what they need. Clark County, we have a portion of that of what they'll need to fully implement the program. But I do have Drew Cross who can explain a little more as well if there's further questions.
Drew Cross for the record. The bulk of the increased expense is for the skilled clinicians who will carry out those evaluations within the respective detention centers. In addition, if the custody staff had additional expenses, perhaps additional deputies or staff to assist with the program, that would also be included.
So when we look at the original number, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, may I ask some other additional questions? When we look at the original numbers, it was for their jail-based behavioral health program, and that was going to cost an $11 million. So the additional, essentially about $4 million, that's or a little less than that is being added to this, is to account for additional programming to implement AB 467.
Drew Cross for the record. Madam Chair, through you to Senator Nguyen, yes.
And Washoe County is the only county that I guess has organized enough at this point to be able to implement that jail-based competency restoration section?
Drew Cross for the record. Yes, Washoe County has provided us an increase in custody staff, the additional clinicians to carry out restoration. Respective to Clark County, what we have is an estimate from the current vendor, what their increase would entail to bring restoration to that detention center as well. The potential for any additional custody staff has not been accounted for.
I guess my question is because it's not broken down in this appropriation, I'm just curious if the existing programming is going to continue and then you're going to add this competency restoration piece. I'm assuming by the same vendors that are in both of those detention facilities. Is that correct?
Drew Cross for the record. Madam Chair, through you to Senator Nguyen. Yes, so the foundation of the program with the clinical setting, the therapeutic environment, the dedicated staff will continue to be part of the process. However, the addition will be psychologists and psychiatrists who are qualified to produce competency restoration reports.
And I don't know if there's anyone from Clark County that is in Las Vegas. I don't see anyone coming up to the table, and it looks like little specks, and I don't see anyone here. Do you anticipate before we leave here that they will have bigger numbers? Because it seems like their number would be a lot bigger than 7 million if 60% of the jail population is there as opposed to Washoe County. These numbers just seem woefully low, I guess, for Clark County's detention center.
Thank you for the question, Madam Chair. Or for the record, Andrea Rivers, Madam Chair, through you for Senator Nguyen. We have tried to work with Clark County to understand their total costs, but we will work within the budget is approved, and then address when we go into budget build or other avenues.
Sorry, I'm a little frustrated that it's not at you. It's obviously, there's no one here from Clark County or Metro or anyone that administers the program there for us to make those kind of determinations to implement that program. So I will probably have those conversations not here in committee, but thank you.
Okay, TBD on that. All right, Senator Neal, did you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I guess what I'm looking for is there a recent report? Do you guys have a recent report, 24, 25, on the SMART program?
Drew Cross for the record. Madam Chair, through you to Senator Neal. Yes, we keep meticulous data within these programs, including the SMART program. They do it monthly and quarterly, and we would be happy to provide those.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions down on this side? All righty, it looks like we probably need some more information, but with that, thank you very much for being here. All right, we will go on to section 7, and this is the University of Nevada, Reno, for the Nevada State Public Health Lab. President? I love that you hand your card over. You follow the instructions. Good class. Klinger? Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada, Reno, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm here this afternoon to respectfully request your support for approximately $7.63 million in state funding needed to complete the new Nevada State Public Health Laboratory, which is currently under construction on the university campus. And as you're all aware, in August of 2022, the IFC approved $75 million in ARPA funding to construct a modern, expanded public health laboratory for the state of Nevada. This new 54,000 square foot building is designed to significantly increase the state's capacity in infectious disease testing, newborn screening, toxicology, environmental health, and emergency public health response. It will serve every region of Nevada, rural, urban, and tribal, and it will play a key role in protecting the lives of our residents and our visitors. Construction is well underway. In fact, more than half of the construction is complete, and more than $39 million has already been expended, and I would encourage you to come to campus. It really is a very impressive edifice. When the project went out to bid, we experienced what many of you have seen across state and local projects: construction inflation, material volatility, and higher than anticipated labor costs. To stay within the approved budget, the university and the State Public Health Lab had to make some difficult decisions. We carried out value engineering reductions, we cut or delayed essential equipment, and the project contingency was reduced to just 1% of construction costs, an extremely low level for a project of this scale and complexity. These actions allowed us to keep construction moving forward, but they left the project unable to open with the full capabilities that Nevada needs and expects. So our request today is not for new scope or expansion. It is simply to restore essential components that were cut only because the bids came in higher than forecast. So members of the committee, Nevada has already made a historic investment in this facility, and we are on track to deliver it. This funding ensures that Nevada receives the full value of the investment already made, a fully functional state-of-the-art public health laboratory that is ready to protect our communities on day one. On behalf of the university, our partners at the Nevada State Public Health Laboratory, and the residents whose lives and health depend on these services, I respectfully request your favorable consideration of this section of the bill. And so with that, Madam Chair, thank you for your time and patience and willingness to hear this, and we are happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. All right, questions from the committee. Senator Wynn.
Thank you. I previously had an opportunity to briefly speak with Mr. Morley representing Laborers 169, but I was wondering if you could confirm that as a part of this project, if UNR has entered into PLAs with the rest of this project.
Confirmed, yes. I apologize, Madam Chair, to you and through you to Senator Wynn. Yes, we have committed to a PLA on this project.
Perfect, thank you.
So that was going to be my question. It's a PLA and it's under construction, and we're just mid-construction, but we don't have enough money.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and Madam Chair, for the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada, Reno. We can finish the building, but there won't be money to put things in it. And so, and I don't mean to be flip about that, Madam Chair. And I think on the phone is Dr. Timothy Southern, who is the director of the State Public Health Lab. But if there are technical questions, he's very happy to respond to those.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll go to Senator Titus. She may have one of those.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here. This has been a project that is very exciting to me as a county health officer, and some of this information that we need in the state and across the spectrum, not just infectious disease, but children, infant testing, so much more. So thank you for that. I want to just be clear, because one of the reasons you're here is because there is an override, or, costs more than what you anticipated in the building itself. And so now we have basically a building, you probably could complete it, then we would have a shell. And you're asking for this amount of money, and much like what Senator Wynn asked, is I just need to know that the appropriations that you are seeking, the $7,630,000, has that been the bids that have already been submitted and approved to fully operate this facility?
Madam Chair, to you and through you to Senator Titus, we have a list, and the answer to your question is yes.
Thank
This
you.
will fully complete everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Senator Neal?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a fairly simple question. So on the equipment that you're going to be putting in the building, are you expecting any kind of increased cost associated with that? There's been a lot of conversation around if it's imported equipment. I mean, clearly if it's coming from Nevada, that's not a problem. But if it's imported equipment, then it's from what I've been reading, it's directly affected by the tariffs.
Madam Chair, for the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University, to you and through you to Senator Neal. Perhaps I will phone a friend. Dr. Southern likely could give you a more precise answer, Senator.
Dr. Southern, are you on the phone?
Perhaps, Madam Chair, I'll fill the vacuum.
Well, you know what?
I'll filibuster a bit.
Called tech problems.
To you through to Senator Neal. I've not heard that with regard to issues of bringing, of there being any delay or additional expense with equipment. Yeah. So the whisper in my ear, Madam Chair, to you through to Senator Neal, it has all been ordered domestically, so none of it will come from internationally.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Can you tell us how far along you are in the building? I mean, is it 50% or 75% or whatever?
Yeah. Madam Chair, for the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the university. I'm not a contractor, but they're doing the dry out. I would say at least 60%. It is a marvelous building, and really want to compliment the individuals that are working on that project. It is coming out extremely well.
So with that being said, is the rest of that going to be done prior to next session? So that, is that the need for the money now? Like what, and I don't mean this any way that I'm just asking it, is that the urgency? Because why wouldn't we wait? Because there's other NSHE buildings. So why is it that we need the money now as opposed to later?
Yeah. Madam Chair, for the record, Brian Sandoval. The building will be complete in August of '26.
Okay, that helps me, thank you. All right. Senator Daley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know we don't want to jump ahead to 13, but I just wanted to make sure we were talking apples to apples. So this is an additional $7 million to complete a building that's in progress and to buy equipment, and that's already under a project agreement, from what I understand.
Madam Chair, Brian Sandoval, for the record, to you and through you to Senator Daley. The answer is yes, Senator.
That's the one that Gilbane is doing, I believe. Yeah, okay.
Yes, Senator.
And then I'll have a similar question when we get to 13.
Thank you.
But I wanted to make sure I was reading this right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? All right, seeing none, thank you very much for being
Thank you,
here.
Madam Chair.
Stay tuned, and we'll move on to Section 8, Department of Indigent Defense Services DIDS. Please go ahead, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Peter Handy, the Executive Director of the Department of Indigent Defense Services, for the record. Here we're asking for $3 million to be allocated to the department, in part for stipends for the Nevada State Public Defender's Office, in part to comply with whatever the needs of the judgment, consent judgment in Davis may require. As you might already know, the Davis monitors made a significant number of findings about what is needed for the state to be in compliance. Primarily, that's supporting the NSPD's office by having a sustainable, fully employed workforce there, and there's a significant need for technical assistance for the department and to provide resources for those who are making this request, $3 million.
Questions? Senator Wynn? All right. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
All right, we will move on to Section 9, Division of Social Services of the Department of Human Services. Welcome. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. For the record, Kelly Cantrell, Division of Social Services. As you all know, the HR 1 legislation is reshaping how we manage the SNAP program. Beginning October 1st of 26, the federal government's share of the SNAP administrative costs is decreasing from 50% to 25%, which shifts a substantial cost of the administrative cost to states. The first request we have for the $19 million is to fill that gap. It's $19 million to cover from October 1 of 26 through the end of the state fiscal year, June 30th of 27. The second thing that HR 1 has done is it introduces a new requirement for cost sharing based on the payment error rate that states have, the SNAP payment error rate. Historically, our division lives in that 6% to 7.99% error rate. And only twice since 2018 have we come under the 6%. And luckily, last year was one of those years where we came in at 5.94%. The just over $1.2 million that is being requested is to allow us to purchase technology initiatives that will help us reduce that error rate so that we can potentially save the $100 million penalty that we would incur should that error rate remain in that 6% range. And so, thank you, and I'm open for any questions you might have.
Thank you, and I do think Senator Neal has a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, do any of the one-stops do SNAP qualifications?
Senator Neal, or Chair Dondero Luke, through you to Senator Neal. Yes, ma'am, the one-stops do SNAP qualifications.
Do any of your, have any of your error rates been accrued from any of the one-stops?
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Neal, Kelly Cantrell for the record. Yes, I would say yes. Our error rates are tracked entirely across the agency from all eligibility staff and customers that come in. And we closed out fiscal year '24 with an agency error rate of 1.67. And the remainder of that error rate, over 4%, was attributed to customer errors that were made. So we share that error rate across all of our agency.
And now that, I mean, we're in this, sorry, Madam Chair, can I have the follow-up?
Yes, please.
Now that we're in like this really, really weird environment around SNAP, what are you planning on doing to, around customers that are going, potentially reapplying, if they're going to run into any kind of, trying to kind of head off any potential problems within the communities when they go back and then reestablish their benefit, right? So I'm thinking about the folks that ended up getting 0% based on income, and now they then will reapply or try to, figure out, how do I get my benefits back? Because we don't really know. I mean, we're hoping that everything will be status quo, right, once the federal government actually funds it. But I'm just wondering if there's going to be an increased customer error rate because now they're just basically confused, right?
Kelly Cantrell for the record. Madam Chair, through you to Senator Neal. Two of these initiatives, these technology initiatives that we're looking at, one will run continuous monitoring of income for anyone whose income goes over 130%. So that will help us monitor anyone whose income goes over the SNAP threshold. The other one looks at anomalies with using data analytics. And so it actually drills down by zip code, and it can tell us what the median, let's say, shelter expenses for that zip code, and it points out anomalies. And so we think that these initiatives will help us with that. And then we ourselves have implemented a few things since this bill passed. We actually did it in June of this year. That puts some of the burden back on the customers to prove some of the information that they're giving us, where once we accepted customer attestation.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Questions? Committee? All righty. Thank you very much. All right. We will move on to Section 10, which is the Nevada Health Authority. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Jennifer Krupp. I am the Division Administrator under the Nevada Health Authority that oversees the Public Option Program. Section 10 is an appropriation from the State General Fund to the Nevada Health Authority for compensating brokers for enrolling persons in health plans under the public option. In the following sums for fiscal year 26, $1,250,000, and in fiscal year 27, $1,250,000.
Questions? Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a number of questions regarding this appropriation and just wondering where those figures came from, who it's actually going to be going to, how did you come up with that number of brokers you're looking at, and wanted to make sure that this is the public option, not the Silver State Exchange, separate entity, correct?
Thank you for the question, Jennifer Krupp, for the record. The Battleborn State plans are offered as qualified health plans on the Nevada Health Link platform. So that means that the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange runs and operates Nevada Health Link. So these funds would be available to brokers who are certified to sell plans on Nevada Health Link, but they would be separate entities.
Have you, in the past, on the Silver State Exchange, paid brokers' fees?
No.
So this is a new program
Yes.
based on the public option, correct?
Yes.
And so how many brokers are you looking at?
For plan year 2026, or the current open enrollment that we are in, apologies, Jennifer Krupp for the record, there are 794 certified brokers.
So on the other insurance companies, the state, the taxpayers do not reimburse for their brokers' fees?
Broker fees are generally built into the overall rate or the premium for the plan. And so with the Battleborn State plans, 2 of the 3 carriers did not build in broker commissions into the Battleborn State plans.
So has there ever been an entity in the past, in our history of our state, or any other state, that pays for brokerage fees?
I am not aware of any.
Okay, that's my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Questions from the committee? Senator Canizaro?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I maybe follow up on the last question that I had heard from my colleague, Senator Titus, Madam Chair, that I think she was asking about other states that are providing some of these broker fees. I guess my question in response to that would be, are you aware of other states where brokers are just not directing folks to plans that may be the most affordable and accessible to them? And if so, what have those states done then to address that?
Thank you, Jennifer Krupp, for the record. I am also not aware of any other states that have brokers that are outright saying that they would not direct consumers to any particular plans.
I appreciate that very much, and I think that that is an important and salient point for this committee to consider. Frankly, I was very surprised to have seen information that we have a state health insurance plan, which is state law here in Nevada, which is something that the Nevada Health Authority is tasked with administering, which is something that is currently being offered to Nevadans for a low-cost health insurance program, a lower-cost health insurance program, that we have folks who are purposefully and intentionally not telling Nevadans about is wild to me. And the idea that this committee or this legislature would not take action to ensure through some sort of mechanism that we can make sure that people are aware of health insurance plans that they can benefit from, not only, I think, defies logic, but also is immensely antithetical to the spirit of Nevada law and the black letter law. Currently, and I know that there has been a great presentation, and I obviously am very invested for a number of reasons, frankly, in making sure that we have access to affordable and accessible health insurance for Nevadans, and also by doing so in making sure that we are properly implementing the state's public option and these Battleborn plans. For Nevadans who are looking for a way to afford health insurance so that when their kid is sick, they can walk into a doctor's office and get health care, they should be aware that there is a plan that they could potentially afford that has access to a network of doctors that they can actually see, that they can actually walk into and do. And that is the whole entire purpose of this entire option for Nevadans. And frankly, in a space where we are seeing a concerted effort to strip affordable health care from people across the United States, thank goodness that Nevada was smart enough to put together a public option to allow for Nevadans to find a way to pay for health care. Because I will remind everyone that if you do not have health insurance, your health issues, your sick kid, your problem that you have to go and get helped by a doctor does not simply go away. It becomes more exacerbated. It becomes an acute problem. It becomes something that we, as people who may have access to health insurance plans, or we as a state and thus as a legislature have to figure out public dollars to pay for, have to then compensate in the form of uncompensated care that shows up at our hospitals, that shows up in our ER rooms for things that could have been done with preventative care. Providing people health insurance and a way to do so is not just the letter of Nevada law, it is also the right thing to do. And in a situation where we are looking at the potential to not only lose up to 100,000 Nevadans from the Medicaid rolls, but also many individuals who will now no longer be able to get subsidies on the exchange, the public option and these battle-born plans are an option that Nevadans deserve to know about. And the idea that there are folks who are not willing to even let people know that there is a more affordable option available to them is disgraceful and should be addressed by this committee, and that is exactly what this money is going to do. So it might be an unconventional way that other states are not doing, but it is something that we need to do to make sure that brokers, because they have identified this as the reason why they are not putting people into these plans and telling them about them, is because they are not being properly compensated for it, that we have a duty to Nevadans to make sure, especially where we're about to see a whole bunch of people lose health insurance, that they know that there is a place where they may be able to afford and access health insurance. And so thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to make a bit of a comment. And thank you all for being here to present this, because I just find this to be an incredibly important aspect of this bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And Madam Chair, if I might, may I have a follow-up question?
Yes,
Short.
Senator
Thank you.
Titus, please.
So again, thank you, Majority Leader. My comments is not the debate about the public option. To be clear, we've had that debate and it is law, as you've stated. So my question is clearly about rewarding people for bad behavior. I agree with you. My concern is this better spent money doing public services announcements, getting people enrolled. I share your concerns that how do folks learn about this? So what I'm afraid we're doing is we are rewarding insurance companies for bad behavior, and that is my objection to this, not discussing the pros and cons, because you know where I stand on the public option. Just to be clear. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate that, Senator Titus. Obviously, you know, I think both of us actually share a passion for healthcare. And so this is something that I was extremely disturbed by when I heard that the reason why people were not being referred to these plans was because of compensation for brokers. I agree that there may be other things that we can certainly address in future legislative bodies to ensure that that does not happen. But I think that as a mechanism to ensure that as these plans come online and as people begin to face the very real circumstance of either being completely priced out of health insurance or finding themselves kicked off of Medicaid rolls, that we have to do something to make sure that they are aware that this may be an option. And I think that a public campaign is certainly something that is important. But when people are trying to figure out where they go for health insurance, the brokers are the people that they are coming into contact with. And so I think that's why this is such an important piece of what we need to do, even if unconventional.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments, Senator Neal?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question is around, and this is going off of the news article, right? There was a mentioning of that there's a code of conduct for brokers. So if the brokers they get paid, do they have to give any of that compensation back if you find out that they failed to go out and share the information on the plan? Is that in the code of conduct?
Thank you for the question. Jennifer Krupp for the record. So the current broker compliance process that all brokers are required to abide by who are certified to sell plans on NevadaHealthLink.com, which the Battleborn state plans would fall under those plans. Those brokers are required to, I left it my wrong note page, hold on. All brokers are required to provide fair and unbiased enrollment assistance to all consumers, and that is regardless of whether or not a plan does pay a commission. And we also they are also required to present all qualified plan options, which do include battle-born state plans, along with information on all affordability programs. There are also prohibitions on steering clients based on compensation or carrier affiliation, and recommendations should always be driven by the consumer's needs. While there isn't a mechanism for us to return any specific funding, up until now, they would have been related to the actual plan that was sold and a component of the plan premium for the plan that has been sold on NevadaHealthLink.com.
Madam Chair, follow-up? Yes, please. So, I mean, because if they're openly hostile to the plan and the code of conduct does not provide any kind of penalties, I mean, clearly, is there an interest to try to create a penalty? Because if by law they're supposed to fairly and evenly share what is available, and then they fail to do that, and this nuance piece in Section 10 is going to pay them to do something that they weren't paid to do before necessarily, not in this manner, why wouldn't we try to recoup general fund money back from people who are violating the law?
Thank you for the question. Jennifer Krupp for the record. We're still determining what the mechanisms will be for this funding, but we are considering offering it as a grant, and so we will certainly take these questions into consideration as we're working with our partners to specifically design this entire program. What I will point out is that under the broker code of conduct and within the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange's existing processes and compliance processes, we do monitor and we do check for violations of the broker code of conduct, and we do issue varying levels of disciplinary action. So some of that action can be requirements to complete a corrective action plan all the way up to decertification. So if a broker is decertified, they are no longer eligible to sell any plans on NevadaHealthLink.com.
Just a quick follow-up, Chair. So I believe there's an audit on the Silver State Health Exchange, right? So are you audited?
Yes, the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange is subject to state and federal audits.
And so I'm assuming that now with this provision under Section 10, this will now be an audited area, being that it's become public that the brokers don't want to sell the plan, right? I mean, wouldn't it naturally be something you want to monitor and make sure that, number one, they're doing it? Because it sounded like there was more of an emotional association with the plan versus just following the law.
Thank you for the question. Jennifer Krupp for the record. Brokers are currently monitored for compliance under the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange. This program would be administered through the public option, so it would be slightly different, but we would work closely with the exchange on oversight and compliance of this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have something you wanted to add, Ms. Davis?
Potentially, I will try. Janelle Davis, for the record, Executive Director of the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange. I just wanted to add, I think your comment, Senator Neal, about if they do get paid, would we take that back? So I think that the issue here is if they do get paid, they will sell. And I do also want to make it clear, it's not, out of 794 brokers, it's a couple brokers who are saying this, but we are holding them accountable, and they are required to present the best option for the consumer, and it's in the best consumer's interest. So a lot of these brokers are willing to sell these plans, but they are not being compensated from the insurance carrier directly. And so what this would do is solve that issue. And so if they are given a commission, whatever the number or amount might be, they will promote these plans.
Additional comments or questions from the committee? I saw the insurance division in here. Did you have a comment or no? Okay, just check. Just checking. Just checking. Got mixed messages there. That's the way to have a heart attack and use the health insurance that we all have. Okay. With that, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. We will move on to section 11, which is the Nevada Health Authority.
Thank you. Again, Jennifer Krepp for the record. This appropriation is from the State General Fund to the Interim Finance Committee for an allocation to the Nevada Health Authority, the sum of $2 million for carrying out a program to award grants and using a request for proposals process to community-based organizations providing education and enrollment assistance related to Nevada Medicaid and the Public Option Program.
Thank you very much. Questions on this section 11? No? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, we will go on to section 12, which is Department of Business and Industry. And welcome. I know sometimes when you sit in those chairs, it feels like you're in your kid chair, right? Go ahead, please.
Thank you. My name is Deputy Director Nikki Haig with the Department of Business and Industry, and we are asking for the funding for the 2 positions that were approved for the fiscal year 26 and then needed additional funding for the second year.
Okay, so you received the initial funding for 2026, but you didn't for 2027 or the 26-27 year? Okay, thank
Deputy
you.
Director, that is correct.
Yeah. All right, questions on this particular item? All right, seeing none, you're off the hook. All right, we'll move on to section 13, and we'll go back to the construction of the Life Sciences Building at University of Nevada, Reno. And we'll welcome back the president. We don't know who you are yet. You look familiar. We think you used to work here. We're just not sure. All right, go ahead, please, sir, when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to present today. The University of Nevada, Reno is requesting $68.5 million in state bonding authority to construct a new 84,000 square foot life sciences building. Nevada urgently needs more graduates in the life and health sciences. This building will serve more than 4,000 students every year, preparing for careers as doctors, nurses, veterinarians, lab technicians, environmental scientists, dentists, and professionals in biotechnology and public health. Every year of delay limits Nevada's ability to train and retain the workforce that fuels our healthcare system. The existing Fleshman Agriculture Building, built in 1963, is functionally obsolete. Our teaching labs provide only 30 square feet per student, ranking last among our peer institutions. Research space is a third below national medians. The current building simply cannot support Nevada's growth in STEM, medical, and bioscience fields. And I think if you recall, last time I testified, you can't even get parts for the elevators. We have to order them on eBay. This building is so old. That building is. We stand also to lose a $30 million private gift, the largest philanthropic investment in a science facility in our history. The donor commitment is contingent on timely state approval and funding. The new life sciences building aligns directly with Nevada's workforce and economic priorities. It will expand our teaching and research capacity, support R1 growth, attract top faculty and students, and deliver the highly trained professionals Nevada needs in medicine, biotechnology, agriculture, and environmental science, as well as many other fields. With your support, the project can break ground in 2027 and open in 2029, delivering immediate, lasting economic and workforce benefits. For these reasons, we respectfully request approval of the $68.5 million in bonding authority for the life sciences building, and would appreciate any questions that you may have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I'm a little disappointed that you called anything made in 1963 obsolete. I think you and I fit in that category, sir.
Yeah, Madam Chair, we do.
So is this a shovel? So this is a shovel-ready project? Is that what I'm hearing? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yes, Madam Chair, for the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the university. As you recall, in the 25 session of the legislature, you approved the planning and design money. I think that was $6.2 million. We have already formed a committee and retained an architect, so we are actively engaged with that in design of the building.
Thank you. Additional questions for not obsolete President Sandoval. Senator Daley, and then I'll go to Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so I think this would be the appropriate one for the building that you're going to build. You guys have committed to using a project labor agreement on this. A couple of follow-up. Go ahead and answer that.
Yeah. Madam Chair, to you through you to Senator Daley, yes, we are absolutely committed to a project labor agreement for this project.
And then, if I can follow up, just a couple of follow-ups. And you already got some money to proceed with design and some of that stuff. So what step of the procurement process are you in now on that? Have you got design? Have you selected just design contractors? Did you do design build? Which procurement and where are you at in the process?
Yeah. Madam Chair, Brian Sandoval, for the record, if I may defer to Mr. Klinger.
And you may go direct.
Madam Chair, for the record, Andrew Klinger, Vice President Administration and Finance for the University of Nevada, Reno. Chair, through you to Senator Daley. So we have selected an architect already, and the architect, in fact, was in our kickoff meeting that we had for design. The State Public Works has also gone through the process, and I'm not exactly sure where they are in the process of selecting a construction manager at risk for this project. So they were having interviews, I believe, last week for selecting that construction manager at risk. The other comment I would add to the President's comments, Madam Chair, your question about being shovel-ready, we did a pre-design for this project that was completed in 2020, actually. And so a lot of the work that goes into programming and making design decisions has been done with that pre-design work that was done in 2020.
Understood, if I can. Thank you. Yeah, so and I think that's where some of my misunderstanding perhaps came in, some of the back and forth I had with, I still have friends in the building trades, believe it or not, is the State Public Works Board, apparently using the construction manager at risk, has proceeded and has shortlisted 3 contractors. And from what I got, feedback was that State Public Works Board has not told any of those contractors that there's going to be a project agreement on the job, which I think you should probably get, in front of them, or at least so they have that knowledge going forward. Because when you get to the final selection, to me, that would be one of the key questions you would ask is how do you intend to work in concert to make the project run smoothly? And if they don't even know about it, they may not be able to answer well, or if they find about it afterward, they'll say, well, I didn't have that contingency, right? Because the project agreements can work and function and actually save a project some money and have it run smoothly. Has to be coordination, has to be cooperation and buy-in from all parties. So I would ask the university to be that partner so that it runs smoothly, because it will take your involvement to make sure that happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to Senator Canizaro.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, President Sandoval and Mr. Klinger, for being here to present this piece. I wanted to, and I think that Senator Daley maybe asked one of the questions that I wanted to just make sure that we were clear on, because I know, frankly, that as part of even having any conversations about this, that I had made very clear that we needed an agreement to do this with APLA, because those jobs are really important for folks to get to work and be able to provide for their families. And I see you shaking your head. So I just wanted to, first of all, say thank you for clarifying that today and making sure that that still is a commitment for this particular building.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, and to Senator Canizaro, just as an attorney as well, for the record, I am nodding my head and saying yes, so.
Sometimes you got to make sure that whatever those gestures are make it into the record. The other thing that I wanted to just, because I think, obviously we've been talking about this life sciences building. You mentioned 1963, and that some of the things just to keep it open are obsolete. I obviously am very familiar with that building, and I believe that I would not be surprised by any of those comments here today. But can you talk just a little bit about what kind of workforce it is that comes accompanied with the degree programs that you will be able to offer, and if you would plan to expand any sorts of degree programs that we currently don't have capacity for here in the state?
Madam Chair, to you and through you to Senator Canizaro, I think for the sake of precision in the record, we brought along our provost with us, who is obviously the subject matter expert in that.
Thank you. For the record, Jeff Thompson, Executive Vice President and Provost at the University of Nevada, Reno. Thank you for the question. This building will alleviate a couple of bottlenecks that are very important for training students who are interested in not only medical fields, but environmental health and safety, public health, nursing, dentistry. Anatomy and physiology is currently taught in the Fleischman Life Sciences building, and we are severely restricted by that building and how many students we can offer those courses to. And then also upper division biochemistry courses will also be taught in this building, that we're also restricted by space in making sure we have a modern educational experience, but also a safe educational experience for our students. So both of those will greatly be expanded by this building.
No, and I appreciate that. I was actually just prior to this hearing talking a little bit about our infrastructure and some of the needs that we need throughout the state to help sustain our medical fields and things like nursing, and this building, I think, and the ability to teach those classes is sort of directly tied to that. So I appreciate that. I also want to just, again, because I think you touched on this, President Sandoval, that you have secured a donor to the tune of $30 million, but that they need to know that the state is also a committed partner in this, and need to do that quickly so that we can actually secure that donor. And that is part of why you are here today.
Madam Chair, to you and through you, to Senator Canizaro, Vice Chair, that is correct. And it is a firm commitment, but it is contingent upon getting this done.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm just general curiosity, and I don't know if anybody from the Treasurer's Office is here. How much bonding authority do we have left? I was reminded about the fact that we had the report, and then it was removed the last cycle when we were in session, and then it wasn't reissued on the affordability and debt report. So what is our leftover bonding capacity?
Tiffany Greenmeyer for the record. Currently, right now, we don't have a new affordability letter from the treasurer. They won't issue it, per my conversation yesterday, they will not issue it until after the special session.
They didn't give you a reason why? Okay. So they didn't issue it when we were in regular session, and then they won't issue it until after the special session?
Yeah, sometime after the special session.
So if we were above our capacity, then it's what? Shame on the legislature? There's no constitutional duty for him to give us this report? Or legal duty?
Tiffany Greenmeyer for the record. I can't speak to that.
Well, you could at least tell me, were you offended when you got that answer?
Slightly.
Okay, all right. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Senator Wynn.
Thank you. And I'm just hopeful that if any of my kids decide they want to go to UNR and do science classes, that this will hopefully be built by then. But I know that's a very optimistic thing since there's only 2 years away for one of them. But can you describe the total estimated construction costs of the life sciences building and what kind of fundraising and what kind of efforts have been done to, I guess, finish this project with this bonding, or if this covers it, or just kind of an update on those full numbers?
Madam Chair, to you and through you to Senator Wynn. So the total cost is 137 million, and as we just stated, we have, Brian Sandoval for the record, excuse me, we have secured a full firm commitment to the $30 million, and we anticipate that there will be other donors behind that as well. So if you were to approve this, we'd be able to move forward and break ground on this project next year. And, you know, for your kids, it'll be done in 29, so I think there's still time.
One of them.
Thank you. All right, I just have a quick question, and maybe I just missed it and I didn't understand it. You said you had the $30 million grant that was secured based upon matching funds. Am I right? Did I hear that right?
Madam Chair, Brian Sandoval, for the record, it's contingent upon favorable consideration of this section of the bill.
Okay. The reason I was asking is because I thought it was closer to matching, and I was trying to figure out why it was 68.5 if maybe you only needed 30 or 40 to secure with that 30 million. Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
It does. Brian Sandoval, for the record, again, I'll defer to CFO Klinger to provide a precise response. Thank you.
For the record, Andrew Klinger, Chair Dondero Loop. So the 68.5 million is 50% of the total project cost, which has historically been the split between the state and the university when it came to university or state-funded projects. It's usually 50-50, so that's where the 68.5 comes from.
Okay, so I understand it. So the 68.5 is half of the cost, and you have the other 30 million, so now you're going to need to find whatever's left. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood all that. All right, any additional questions? And Senator Rogich.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here today. Just so I understand that the bond proceeds are to be used on the building. With regard to the grant, do you have that same type of restriction, that the monies received under the grant have to be used on this building?
Yeah. Madam Chair, through you to Senator Rogich, yes, that 30 million will go into the building.
Thank you. All right, any additional questions? Okay. Sandra Neal, did you have something?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So is it possible, and I don't know under the power of the chair, but like I was just, perusing the state constitution, right? And so I was just thinking to myself about this debt report. And so like under Article 9, like we have, the responsibility to deal with the finance of state debt. So if the treasurer is acting in a way to impair the legislature from making a decision so that we know what we're doing in that particular space, rather than flying blind, does the legislature not have any power to either compel, subpoena, or do anything in order to get that if we have a conflicting constitutional provision for a state officer? Because I'm uncomfortable with flying blind from regular session to special. I know this is in this bill, and I'm not trying to, President Sandoval, I'm not trying to screw up a good thing, all right? But this is just, it's weird that a state officer, and I'm not being political, is saying, I'm not going to issue the debt report and you can't see it. But we are expending in that category, and there is a constitutional provision that says that we should at least know what we're assuming as a debt, and that is not something I feel should be taken lightly. And so, I don't know if that's an Asher Killian question, but I feel like as this committee, we should be exploring that deeply to understand, is there a conflict with a constitutional provision and the duty of a state officer? That is my 2 cents and a dime, and I thank you for the indulgence.
Well, it'll have to be a nickel because there aren't going to be pennies anymore, so. Any comment? Go ahead, please. It's all a lot today.
Tiffany Greenmeyer for the record. We actually, during session, he canceled the affordability letter. He withdrew it. So we did prove, the CIPs and all those projects that were funded with bonds. And so we are running blind. I did ask him, can we at least put this through? They did say yes, because we need the authority. The only difference is it's going to be if that affordability letter is less, they won't fund the project. So, and that might not even be this project, it could be any projects that are on the CIP bill. So, right now, we need the authority, and then with this, they wouldn't get the bond issuance or the bond sale until November of 2026.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that. All right, any additional questions, comments from the committee? All righty, seeing none, thank you very much. Thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate your time, and we will go on to Section 14, the Chief Information Officer of the Governor's Technology Office. Welcome. Thank you. And please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is David Axtell. I am the Deputy Director of the Governor's Technology Office and the State Chief Technology Officer. I'm here to provide a little backstory on the request for the addition and adjustment to the compensation for the CIO. In the 2023 session, the governor put forward a bill that brought the Enterprise Information Technology Services Division out from under the Department of Administration and pulled that directly into the governor's office. At that time, it was late in the session, and all of our budgets were already closed, and the pay bill was already set. So at the time, no adjustments could be made to that position. While under the Department of Administration, the CIO's salary was set at the deputy director slash division administrator level, and therefore that was where it stayed during the elevation of our division to a department. In the new capacity, of course, the state CIO being on the cabinet had a lot more responsibility. It did provide us with a wonderful opportunity to have that peer connection with other department directors. So it was a fabulous move for us, allowed us to do more collaboration, but unfortunately, he was stuck with that compensation level, and it was not commensurate with a cabinet level position. During the 2025 session, there was a classification and compensation study that occurred, and that would have included adjustment for the state CIO, but unfortunately, due to budgetary constraints, that compensation study was not pulled through into the 2025 session. So that leaves us with where we are now, which is our CIO is behind the 8 ball when it comes to other departments in the state. So we are asking for an adjustment to equalize the pay and bring him up to the appropriate level. And I thank you for your attention and welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. All right, are there any questions on this particular item? All right, I don't see any. I think you did a good job of explaining. Thank you very much for being here today, and we appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And Director Grindemeyer, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything in 15 and obviously 16 that you need to explain. So thank you very much for your time as well. Thank you. All right, at this time, committee, I believe we're going to recess. I think there are a couple of questions that need to be answered, and so we are going to recess. But prior to recess, because we are closing the hearing on Senate Bill 4, we will open up for public comment. And if you are going to call in on the phone lines, please dial 888-475-4499. The meeting ID is 8833-877-9027. Then press pound, and when prompted for the participant ID, please press pound. We'll start here in Carson City with public comment. Please go ahead when you are ready.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Alejandro Rodriguez, Nevada System of Education, and she's in strong support of this legislation, in particular the Life Sciences building, which has been one of our Board of Regents' priorities, and we urge your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Hillerby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Michael Hillerby on behalf of Renown Health, here to support the bill, and in specifically Section 7 and 13 regarding Nevada's public health and the new Life Sciences building at UNR, which is an important part of our affiliation agreement with Renown and the UNR Medical School. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Tess Opferman here on behalf of the Washoe County School District. We are in full support of this bill, and specifically Sections 4 and 5. And we also want to thank you, Chair Dondero Loop, for your hard work on this piece of legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Cadence Matijevich, C-A-D-E-N-C-E-M-A-T-I-J-E-V-I-C-H, representing Washoe County, here in support of the bill, and particularly Section 6, which would provide funding for us to continue the jail-based mental health program in the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, and do want to confirm what Mr. Cross stated earlier. The amounts in this bill that are increased from what had been contemplated in Senate Bill 281 of the regular session would allow us to expand the scope of the program to include competency restoration following the passage of Assembly Bill 467 in the last session. We appreciate very much that this is being considered during this special session. Without this additional funding, we would have to terminate this program in the spring of 2026, and so there is indeed a sense of urgency for this, and we urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon. And we're in neutral, so that I'm fine here. Thank you. For the record, Shelley Capro, representing the Nevada Association. Yes. We're just making public comment. Okay. For the record, Shelley Capro with the Nevada Association of Health Plans, which is an 11 health plan organization, and they operate in both the public and commercial markets. And we appreciate the opportunity to relay our comments on SB4. We were able to touch base with both the governor's office and the Nevada Health Authority on sections 10 and 11 prior to this hearing. While we continue to review the legislation, we want to relay the following feedback. While we understand that grant-like programs for sections 10 and 11 are in the process of being designed for BBSPs, and this in regards to the broker compensation, we want to highlight a few areas of concern if this funding moves forward. The allocation amounts are not tied to data-driven justifications. Without enrollment projections or cost analysis for enrollment projections, these amounts may be either insufficient or excessive, which may result in unintended consequences and sustainability concerns. Any grant-like programs should be included and outlined for performance standards and reporting requirements for those receiving state funds to mitigate the risk of inefficiency or misuse of funds. Any grant-like program should also include coordination with existing outreach programs to avoid duplicative efforts that may reduce efficiencies. Finally, we request that a working group with health plans and the Division of Insurance be created to address ramifications to the larger market and to consider potential federal legislative changes. And we do request to be a part of these conversations. Again, thank you for your time, and we look forward to being part of those.
Thank you very much, and we are a little out of practice, and so we appreciate your comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty. Seeing no one else here in Carson City, we will go to Las Vegas. And seeing no one in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to participate in public comment today, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and Committee. For the record, my name is Wendy Colborn, Chief of Staff for the Building and Construction Trades Council of Northern Nevada. We just want to let you know that we are happy to support this bill, and specifically Section 7 and Section 13 of this bill. We have sent over a letter of intent to the University of Nevada on that proposed PLA, and we do look forward to seeing that signed and working with the university. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Additional callers, AVH?
Hi, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Trey Abney on behalf of America's Health Insurance Plans, otherwise known as AHIP, calling today in neutral of this bill. Given how quickly this issue and bill has come forward, we're obviously still digesting this, as are all of you. Our questions center specifically around sections 10 and 11. It is no secret to this committee that AHIP had been on the record as opposed to public option. Certainly not here to relitigate that. That is the law of the land. But we certainly have questions on how this budgetary change or new funding will impact the current market for consumers. As you know, Nevada rates have already been approved, and open enrollment is already underway for 2026. Consumers are reviewing plan options and rates and making plan selections that best fit them and their families' needs. So we're worried that refiling rates in the middle of open enrollment could be highly disruptive, could harm consumers, and could result in fewer consumers enrolling in coverage. So there's no precedent for refiling all rates during open enrollment, and so it's unclear what that timeline or process would be. So, for example, would Nevada plans have to refile with Nevada DOI and the federal government if the state pays for commission? So right now, Madam Chair, we just have more questions than answers, and we hope to work together to better understand and be educated about the process for this. And I want to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. AVH, any more callers?
Thank you, Chair. There are no further callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, I will close public comment. I'm assuming everyone got their chance to say their comments. I'm not hearing anything from anyone. And with that, we will go into recess and we'll reconvene after we practice for a minute. So thank you very much. We're in recess.